Peace, family. It's Mr. Real Estate, Jay Morrison, and I've climbed my way out of poverty and prison to become a multi-millionaire real estate developer. But none of that matters now. It's all about my people. The black community needs unity, justice, and repair. So I moved my company from New York City all the way down to ATL so we can change the culture. It's the solution.
Peace. So glad everybody made it out. Great turnout. And so this is just an open house that we're having for Jay Morrison Academy, my school, our institution that's been in business and operating now for 3+ years, going to our 4th year. And we've been online. We've had nearly 7,000 students that we've taught throughout the world. I'll tell you a little bit in this story about where the Academy was birthed from, but this is a monumental day for us. This is Black History Now, because we're now taking our school to this facility, another black-owned business. We're going to be housing our Jay Morrison Academy Atlanta campus, the first of what we believe to be many campuses to come throughout the country, where we're going to teach our people and teach people who are looking to build wealth everything we've never been taught, right? So it's just not about flipping houses and wholesaling. Please, can you? Sure. It's not just about flipping houses and wholesaling and just real estate programs and guru gimmicks. This is about real education. This is about knowing it thoroughly from the bottom up. This is for many of us, which is many Americans from any community, have not been taught wealth building, have not been taught how to be lord of their land, home ownership, credit, have not been taught how to understand money and finances and business. And so we're going to be doing that with our school. We're going to be doing that with you all right here in Atlanta. We're going to start February 26th, I believe that is. It's a Thursday. And so we're going to teach a lesson a week from our curriculum. And we're going to give everyone options to either come Thursday evenings like this or Saturday afternoons, right? And we're going to teach a lesson a week, go through our 26-week curriculum. And by the time you're done, you're going to be a whole different you. You're going to look at money different, you're going to look at real estate different, you're going to look at property different, you're going to look at opportunity different, you're going to look at your credit different, you're going to look at investing different, you're going to look at business different, right? And so I want to use this opportunity of our open house and our grand opening. I want to use this as an opportunity also to share my story about how, because one of my coaching clients who's not here yet at Becoming, we were in Vegas. He flew out to spend a day with me, and just in talking and casually kicking it, he said, "King," he said, "How'd you get started? Like, what was the starting point? How'd you get started in real estate?" And so I'm going to tell you guys that story, and I also wanted to make sure we had a good turnout, so I figured if I gave a free lecture, that we'd get a good turnout. So I was baiting to get y'all here. And so you guys are in your seats, so we appreciate it. So kind of formally, and for IG, for you guys to continue to watch this, you're going to have to go to my Facebook fan page. That's J. Mr. Real Estate Morrison on Facebook. You can search it, you'll find it. But we want to live stream this for our audience around the country and around the world who can't be physically here, but I'm glad so many of you could be here. B, I want you to be on the lookout, because my phone is obviously streaming for Kevin. He should be coming at some point, so I don't know if you have his info or not. Cool, let him know, get you. I want to give a shout out before I even start telling my story. One, I want to shout out to my staff who's in the building, which is not even all of them, but a small portion. But can my staff raise their hand, please? Who's in the building? We got Todd, we got Corey, we got Brandon, Whitney's running around somewhere. And I want to thank our volunteers, our photographers, our DJ, who comes to all our events, helps us out. So you all want to give a round of applause for you all as well. And that's just like a small glimpse of our staff. We have, right now, we have about 22 people that work with me throughout the country. Again, my client, Kev, he was with me. And many of you know we're launching a $50 million real estate fund, the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. And Kev came to the conference in Vegas where I was on the panel with a bunch of other fund owners. And he got to see the back inner workings of our real estate development company and our fund, our organization. He was like, dang, he was just like, yo, I'm blown away because you guys see me, I'm so vocal and I'm so upfront and in your face and on all the videos and posting and streaming everything, right? So you see me. But there's a whole army, a whole team behind me that support me, from attorneys to interns to assistants to corporate admins to photographers, graphic designers, videographers, VP of sales and operations, on the real estate operations and acquisitions, property management, client, it's everything, right? So there's so many people with me, I want to say behind me, but just behind me in the sense of making sure I don't fall. but supporting me and aside me as we go on this journey to move our culture forward. And so I want to tap into, T, I didn't mention T, King T, right there as well. Making sure we make the right movies, you know what I'm saying? Young Spike Lee. We like to make movies around here. Any of you all get a chance to see the latest Solution episode we dropped yesterday, the Solution series? One person, I said, yo, I gotta put y'all on, yo. Oh man, that's good. We got work to do. Cool. So every Monday, we slipped up a little bit because our Vegas trip, but every Monday we drop a Solution series on YouTube, and we just dropped one yesterday. Did like 3,000 views in a day. Really good episode, but it's all about. My thing is all about practical solutions and action steps for our community to move forward. Right? We all know the issues, the problems. We see it in our hoods, in our ghettos. We see it in corporate America. We see it in the finance industry. We see it everywhere. But then it's always like, what do we do about it though? And so I like to be very intentional about the what we do about it part. And what I believe is that what our community needs most, in our school, when I say our community a lot, I want to make this clear, the J. Morrison Academy is open to all nationalities, ethnicities, races, and all communities. Our initiative and our what we're being intentional about is the repair of the underserved and the repair of the African community in America. Right? So we are intentional about that, but our information is universal. So we have students that are Hispanic, who are white, who are this, who are that, and we accept them all, and I love them all, treat everyone the same. Just our initiative, my purpose, the calling God gave me was to repair my community. And so I do that through our institution. So I want to talk a little bit, and this will be the portion where I want to get into my story, how I got started in real estate. So we'll work backwards a little bit. So, current day, I'm the founder of JMA, and I'm also the founder, CEO of J. Morrison Real Estate Partners, real estate development company. That's now, it's out of New York, now we're here in Atlanta, and also the CEO, Chief Executive Officer of the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, as I mentioned. I'm a 3-time author, 2-time best-selling author of 2 books, Lord of My Land, 5 Steps to Home Ownership, and The Solution, How Africans in America Achieve Unity, Justice, and Repair, right? I've also been a talking head or expert or guest analyst on Fox Business, on CNN, on NBC, and other platforms as either a real estate expert or as a social activist or humanitarian or human rights activist. And so I do that as well. I do a lot within our community from a hands-on standpoint. We do a lot of real estate development, acquisitions, etc. I've been the real estate expert for NBC's Today Show as well as a celebrity realtor on NBC's Open House. So I've had a pretty decent career, but our career, the way my career started is what we're going to talk about tonight. I want to give you guys who are new to me or to the company, to the brand, I want to give you guys a little bit of just what I've done in my career. I was the first African in America hired by Sotheby's International Realty, which is the world's largest luxury real estate company. Was also able to bring in our branch's highest listing in at $10 million, or $10.7 million, as my phase as a realtor, which we'll talk about a little bit. But I want to ask, how'd you guys will raise your hand and I'll call on you to shout it out. How'd you guys find out about tonight's event? Instagram, email. So IG mostly?
Yeah, Instagram.
Okay, IG popping. There we go. All right, so going into this story about how I started in real estate. When I told you about my resume a little bit and what we've done, I've developed, owned, managed, or have transacted over $20 million in real estate in the last 12 years, right? Which is not even really that big, people that are like dwarfing that number, but I've done that also with probably saving and changing hundreds of thousands of lives at the same time. My goal is not to be the biggest real estate developer in the world. My goal is just to follow my calling and purpose and help repair my people. And what we believe, is a solution in our repair is massive campaigns of education. What I say is that we don't know enough about enough. We just don't know enough about enough. And when you don't know, you can't execute. You can't have a strategy. You don't have a plan, right? So we have lack of plan, lack of strategy because we just have a lack of information. And so I started in real estate. I want to tell you guys the entry point for me, but it was gradual. It went over a long process. So I was born in poverty, right, to a teenage mom, 18-year-old mom, and from that point, my biological father left home, moved out, and my mom then engaged my stepfather who raised me. But at the beginning of him raising me, he was serving time and out on bail for multiple armed robberies, burglary charges, and I knew him through prison and through prison visits, the first 7 or 8 years of my life. Then we fast forward, growing up with 6 of us in a 2-bedroom, on welfare, on a WIC, Section 8, food stamps. We had the real paper food stamps, free lunch in school. So grew up with a lot of adversity, like a lot of, kind of 2 pair of pants, like 3 shirts, like figure it out. And so I knew early on that I wanted to be able to help feed my family. I talk about this in one of my motivational mixtapes. I wanted $1 million trillion. I used to wish for that when I was 8, 9 years old. I used to chase those little white willows and grab them and wish for $1 million trillion, right? So Tom, we're gonna stop IG right now. IG, you guys got to hop on the Facebook fan page. So, just growing up again, having goals for myself, knowing I want to change my condition and the poverty condition that we grew up in. I was acting out in school, had abuse in my home. Going into high school, I got introduced to the drug game and selling drugs at 15 years old. Started selling weed in school, then started selling coke, and started selling crack. And by 16, that was my full-time occupation, and I would end up dropping out of high school my junior year. And so I dropped out of high school through a fight that I had with my stepfather, and I left home, right? So I left home and dropped out. I would come back my senior year and graduate, but 4 months after I graduated, I landed on Rikers Island facing 3 years to life in prison for a quarter kilo of coke and a loaded handgun. During that stint of me going from graduating to being incarcerated, I started hustling and selling drugs down in Baltimore, Maryland, right? So this is my introduction to real estate. I knew nothing about real estate, had any real estate aspirations. We grew up in low-income housing, and we went from apartment to apartment, and the elevation was hopefully one apartment had less roaches than the other one, right? So when I was coming into, out of my senior year, my biological father, who I only seen twice in my life, when I was 7 and once when I was 9, for about 4 days each time. My biological father came to town. I'm selling drugs. I'm 17 years old, and he was getting high. And so one of my customers paged me and was like, "Hey Jay, your dad's here." I'm like, "All right, cool. But he wants something." So I was like, "What's the order?" She said, "He wants 2." So I would usually do 2 for $35, but because it was my dad, I gave him 2 for $30. Right? I gave him a discount. So my dad came back. And he said to me, he said, "Son, what you just gave me goes for double in Nebraska." That's where he lived my whole life, in Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska. So I then, 2 weeks later, hopped on an airplane with 2 ounces of coke in my side pocket and flew to Lincoln, Nebraska, where my dad taught me how to cook up coke in a microwave and on a stove, and we started a drug operation in Lincoln, Nebraska. I then met some guys who were throwing a party in New Jersey, right? And this guy right now is one of my mentors and best friends, but he's throwing a party. He was from, he went to Morgan State, some guys from Hampton University. They were throwing a party. I got introduced to them, and they wanted some funding for a comedy show they were doing. I'm like, "Well, I got some money. I'll reinvest into a comedy show, right?" And so I got to know these guys, and one of the guys said, "You know what, you remind me of one of my boys in Baltimore." And so he introduced me to his friend in Baltimore, my first time leaving the state, as a teenager, young adult. So at 17, I went down to Baltimore, and I met one of my best friends today. His name is Rick. And Rick and I, seeing we had mutual interest in the drug game, and we started selling coke together in Baltimore. So I would now had a route coming from New York where I would pick up in Harlem, then I would go to New Jersey and make my drop off in my block in New Jersey. Then I would go to Baltimore and take some work there, and I make my way to Lincoln, Nebraska. Right? So I'm running this route at 17 years old. And when Rick and I were down Baltimore, I got my own place. I moved out, right? Graduated high school. Like 2 weeks after I graduated, I went into Baltimore, got my own apartment. And I'm just hustling there. I'm pretending I'm going to school. My family thinks I'm going to Morgan State University. But I'm just on campus chasing girls and selling drugs, right? So while I was in Baltimore, I went to a strip club called El Dorado's Gentlemen's Club. And I got familiar with one of the bouncers there. And his name was Kenny, right? And so Kenny just took a liking to me. Mind you, I'm not this kind of stature. Like, this is my 36-year-old stature. I'm like skinny, 170 pounds, 17 years old, big old head, right? So Kenny took a liking to me. He was like, "Look, at Baltimore, it's rough. This ain't Jersey." He said, so let me show you around and tell you what to watch out for. So Kenny was like my big homie, my OG, and he took me around Baltimore, showing me different hoods, different neighborhoods, and trying to show me the ropes. And Kenny did something that was really critical to my whole being, my whole story, the whole Mr. Real Estate, Jay Morrison as you know him. While Kenny was talking to me about who was hustling on the west side and who was hustling on the east side, etc., what Kenny also said to me, he was like, you know, at the time I had a blue face Mariner Rolex. And Kenny said to me, he was like, ooh, nice watch. And he said, well, let me tell you something, Slim. He said, you can buy all the cars and jewelry you want, but God ain't making no more land. And as a 17-year-old, that was kind of profound. He was like, think about it. He was like, people are, you know, living longer. People are being born every day. There's more medicines, right? So we're living longer. The earth is getting more populated with the same amount of land. And so he really just gave me a principle of supply and demand. So that seed got planted in my head of like, all right, that makes sense. But he never gave me a how-to or a path. He just gave me some games, some food for thought. You sit on that. And so, you know, again, a few months later, I would end up getting locked up. I stayed on my same path. I would end up getting locked up in New York on a way to a trip to Nebraska. And I would serve a year of prison time in New York. And I came home from prison, rejuvenated, to go hustle some more, right? Because prison is like criminal school. So I just learned different tricks while I was in there. And came home, went right back on my same route. So here's my next real estate story. So when I came home from New York prison, on parole, I came home to my grandmother's house, right? So I'm in this little bedroom in my grandmother's house. And I took 2 months off, right? I came home November 4th of 1999, and I said, you know, I'm not gonna hustle for at least 2 months. I wanna enjoy my freedom before I get back out there. And so I took 2 months off, and then January 8th of 2000, I remember the date, January 8th of 2000, January 19th of the year 2000 is where I started my route again. And so I'm hustling, I came home with some money, but I remember my mom knocking on the door and just saying, hey, Maine, she said, I'm supposed to be closing the house today. I didn't even know. So my mom had been searching and trying to find a house. Like that was her level up, right? She wanted to always one day get out of the apartment and get into a house. So she had went through some home buyers program and some FHA and something else and ended up getting jerked by a realtor for some money and then went back at it again. They didn't quit and ended up finding a property that she needed to close on. Only problem was she had $3,000 to close on the property. And so she didn't have the $3,000, so she asked me. And I was like, sure. I was like, you know, it's in a Timberland box. And so I gave my mom $3,000, and she closed on her FHA house around the corner from my grandmother's house that she bought for about $99,000. So that was my second introduction into real estate. And so I would continue living life, going through the year, hustling, and before the end of the year 2000, I would end up catching 2 more felonies, one in New Jersey for a secret indictment, and one in Maryland for drug trafficking in Cumberland, Maryland, where I had to bail out. And you know, I don't want to get the story back into my street stories because it's part of it, but I want to talk about the entry into real estate. So I went through a lot in the streets. I was out on parole in New York. I was on bail in Maryland and bail in New Jersey, but I still had to make a living. I had to save some money for when I inevitably go to jail. So I went back to hustling. So here I am running the same routes while I'm on 2 bails and parole, hustling, you know, feeding myself and preparing for when I go away. So I went through Maryland prison system in Jersey. I ended up pleading guilty to a year and a half. I would beat a lot of my charge because the cops illegally searched my vehicle. And I came home in 18 months to intense supervision parole called ISP in New Jersey, where they had a 6 o'clock curfew and you had to have breathalyzer test, a urine test, and keep a journal and men's mentorship groups on Saturdays, which I hated. So every Saturday at 10 o'clock, we had men's mentorship groups where we would get together, a bunch of felons, sit in a circle and talk about our problems. Ain't nobody trying to talk about their problems. Right? And so during that group, there was some evolution, but what happened was I got tired of the different jobs I had. I had a job at a factory. I quit in 2 days. No, I quit the first day. I had a job in a factory. Then I got a job at a women's shoe store, and that worked out pretty well. And then when they laid me off from that, I ended up getting a job at a telemarketing agency. And then some issues happened there. I left that job, but you had to have a job to stay home, to stay free. But I was so aggravated with the parole officer popping up at 2 in the morning and breathalyzer tests and all the control, I had decided that I had this genius plan that I was gonna actually turn myself in from parole, go back to jail, and finish my time. So I could come home with no parole. That was my plan. Like, I don't wanna be on papers, I don't wanna buy over me. I'll go finish my time, come home, and I don't owe y'all nothing. And so I told this to my mentors in the mentorship group, in the men's group, and Pastor Antoine Thomas, who was our mentor, said, hold on, before you go do that, I want you to try something. And he handed me a card, and the card was from Flexible Benefits Mortgage Company, and it's where his wife worked as a processor. I was like, I don't know about no mortgages. He said, don't worry about it, they'll train you. He said, look, he said, just trust me. He said, before you go turn yourself in, just go there, put some slacks on, and button up, and just go apply. So I'm like, all right, fine. You know what I mean? Like, fine. So I go to this mortgage company, I put my slacks and my button up on, and I go apply for a job as a loan officer, and they accept you because they don't pay you a salary, you get paid commission. Anyway, and they trained me. They started to teach me what a 1003 was, which is a loan application, and talk about credit and how you build credit, and about how real estate works and financing. I didn't understand leverage. I didn't understand putting a down payment on a house and then the bank loans you the rest. Like, no one ever talks about real estate. I thought you needed $300,000 to buy a house. I don't know. Like, how do I know? Because they didn't teach it to me in elementary school. They didn't teach it to me in high school. I didn't learn it in the streets. I didn't learn it at home. We didn't have that experience. So how did I know anything about real estate, right? So they explained to me the ins and outs of real estate in a mortgage company. I then refinanced my grandmother's house, and I made like $3,300, and refinanced my aunt's house and made like $2,900, and ended up making like $6,000 in a month just from pushing papers. So I was like, yo, this little mortgage thing ain't that bad. I can do this. I ain't have to dodge no cops. I ain't have to shoot nobody. Like, this is all right. So that was my third introduction into the real estate industry. And I started seeing that I had a knack for numbers, and I started seeing that, wait, so you're telling me that somebody with a 620 credit score could buy a house, but all they need to do is put down this? Or somebody with a 700 credit score needs even less to put down because their score is high and they just need this? And then you're telling me that I could just gotta show 2 months of bank statement? And so I'm learning loan programs and guidelines and how the banks think and how they work and how you put deals together. And so I did that consistently for several months, and that wasn't like I'm off into the sunset. I graduated parole, right? I finished my 18 months of ISP, and then when I was done, I went back to the streets. Hey, that's what I did. The mortgage company was cool, it was kind of slow. It's a different kind of lifestyle, right? So I went back to the streets. What happened as I was transitioning back into the streets, my mother was losing the property that we had purchased. So my stepfather, rest in peace, had a heroin addiction, so a lot of the money that we were making in the household was going out of the household. So my mom was behind on taxes and behind on her mortgage. So she came to me, God bless you. So she came to me, because her son's in real estate, right? Everyone's like, okay, Jay does mortgages now. Her son's in the real estate. So she came to me and she asked me, what can she do? What's her options? Can she refinance like Graham did, or like Aunt Karen? So we tried to refinance my mom, but we couldn't because she already had too many mortgage rates. So during my period at Flexible Benefits Mortgage Company, I started reading Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad and other books. And I started being interested in real estate and learned how to build my credit through secure credit cards and secure loans, which I teach in my book, Hip Hop to Homeowners and Lord of My Land. And so I went to the bank, gave the bank $1,000. The bank put my $1,000 in a CD, and they gave me a check back for $1,000 as a loan. I then paid off half of my loan right away, gave them $500 back, and then made payments on $500 for the next year. Right? I also went to Bank of America and gave them $2,600. They put it in a CD, getting interest, and then they gave me a secured credit card for $2,600, my first credit card. Right? So everything I did prior to that was cash. And so I started swiping the credit card and paying that over the next year or so. So this was happening for a couple of years. I wasn't even thinking about it, just paying these little bills, but it actually boosted my credit. And all this happened from me being at Flexible Benefits, pushing loans, doing papers, and I said one day, can I pull my credit? I'm like, oh no, my joint bad. But I pulled my credit, it wasn't even that bad. I owed a Sprint bill, $189, owed something from an old apartment, $300, paid those off, got my secure cards, and then just built a credit profile over time. So now we tried to refinance my mom, but she couldn't refinance. So then we go, remember, I started learning how to critically think and put deals together. I said, wait, I got credit. So then what we realized is that my mom didn't want to stay in the same area. She wanted to move. But when we tried to refinance her house, what we found was we got comps done, right, which is a comparative market analysis to show you the value of the house. We found out my mom's house worth $199,000. She paid $99,000 for it. So in just about 3 short years, my mom's house went up $100,000 in value. So she said, all right, that's what we're going to do. So what I did, because remember she was losing it, I had a big red Navigator that I paid cash for that was under my mom's name. I said, look, I'm going to sell the truck, I downgrade vehicles, let's pay off your debt for the house so no one can take it. And so we paid off the house, and my mom said, Jay, or Maine she calls me, she said, Maine, when I sell the house, I'm going to take care of you. I said, don't worry about it. I'm not worried about that. I'm doing it because of my mother, right? So my mom would end up selling the property for the full $199, and we made about $93,000 or $97,000 as a family. And she gave me $33,000, right? So that was my next experience in real estate. So I was like, yo, I just made 33 cash off moms just from like that. That's a good flip. So I took that 33,000, or a good portion of it, and went and bought a half a kilo of cocaine. I did. That's what I did. I'm only gotta have a bird. And so, interesting part is, right. This ties all into the story. Don't worry. There's a peak. So the interesting part is that when I sent my workers on the trip, on that particular flip, right, coming off the high of just seeing that real estate makes sense, I still was stuck to my old ways, and I sent someone on a trip, and when they were going on their route to the trip, the cops arrested them. It was a sting. Somebody had set them up, or set us up. So I had another close call, and I had 3 felonies in 3 different states. First time facing 3 years of life in prison. Second time facing 15 years. Another charge facing 3 years. And so now I'm like pooping in my pants. I'm like, oh man, this is going bad. And so we end up bailing her out, getting an attorney. The cops illegally searched her vehicle, and she ended up beating the entire charge, right? But the whole time I'm thinking, oh, if she tell on me, I'm done. It's a wrap. I'm going forever, ever. Like, I'm gonna be 40-something when I get home. And so I was, scared at that moment of what I was facing because of the activity that I was doing. So at that point, right, having so much history in the streets, so much time selling coke from the time I was 15 years old, so many close calls. So at that point is when I decided to stop selling coke and start selling heroin. I just switched my hustle up. My coke route wasn't working. So I went to the smack. You need me? Come on, what's up? Okay. How soon?
Like everybody waiting.
I didn't know we had people waiting. I thought this was everybody.
No, this is double again.
Oh, okay. Okay, we short out. All right, so she's saying I'm gonna get to it. I thought it was it. This is a good audience right here, but I guess we got a whole nother group of y'all. So I appreciate it. So yeah, it's a whole class waiting for us. Yeah. So where was I? Okay, boom, boom, boom. So I take my smack. All right. So sound smack. Boom. So I found a partner named, I'm not gonna say his name, but I found a partner out of Newark, New Jersey, who was a general in the Sex, Money, Murder, Bloods. And he ran his block, and so we decided that I'll be the brains and the money, he be the muscle, and we're gonna go take over his block with dope. And so me and King got together, and we go take over 10th in Springfield and 100th in Avon, North New Jersey, selling dope. right? My mom, at the same time, who had sold the house, needed a place to live. So we were looking for places for my mom under my name because I had the credit. And I would end up purchasing my first house at 25 under my name, but for my mother in Pennsylvania. That was my first property, 25 years old, right? But I still was like in the streets, right? And so at that time, one day in the streets, just with some more close calls in Newark, New Jersey, and seeing the environment in which I was in, I was looking like at the guys that I was hanging around, these like real killers and like real, like we in the streets for real right now. This is like, and I was just looking at 25, approaching 25, saying, well, where am I gonna be when I'm 30? And I was like, yo, I know I'm gonna be dead or in jail. Like, I know it. No matter how smart I think I am, you're not gonna beat these streets. Or the risk to beat them is just not worth the reward. And so I also thought about, at that time, my daughter, who was 7 at the time, she was born when I was in prison, and the fact that I had nothing that she could be proud of outside of buying her some Jordans or giving her some clothes and some money, but she could be proud of who her dad was. And I also challenged myself to say, you know, Jay, are you a drug dealer or are you a hustler? Because a drug dealer only can sell drugs. A hustler can hustle anything. And so I already had the seeds planted with me with real estate, right? God primed me, prepped me for it. I just had to take action. And so one day, in the morning, 5 in the morning, in Newark, New Jersey, watching my associates out on the corner, red flags hanging, pants sagging, guns toted in, I decided that now I'm going to walk away cold turkey, no prep time. I'm going to give the rest of my drugs and work to my partner. I cracked my trap phone. I said, I'm going to try real estate full time and see what happens. If I put my energy full time into real estate, what will it do? I never put my energy full time into anything other than the streets. So I never even knew what other results I could get other than the streets. And I want to bring this around for everybody. Not everybody comes from that environment, but it goes the same for those who are professional students. All you do is learn. 9-to-5 workers, college dropouts, veterans, retirees, whomever you are. Everybody got a block to leave. And everybody needs to see what you can do when you put real energy into this financial world. So I would end up getting 2 more properties in my first year. My second year, I would end up getting 6 properties. And then by my 3rd year in real estate, I made my first $1 million. Going full time in real estate. Got my real estate license, had my mortgage license, ended up working my way up through another mortgage company to manage 2 branches. So I was managing 2 mortgage branches, had my real estate license, closing deals, and was investing and developing, and that's where I came up with the brand Mr.Real Estate. I was doing everything in real estate, understood the industry, and then I put my energy into real estate. And so fast forward, this is probably 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then fast forward is when I started to get national recognition on BET and other platforms. And started to see, as I started putting videos on World Star Hip Hop and YouTube and other blogs, that there was a real interest from real people about what I've learned about this knowledge. And so I was like, well, how can I mentor this many people effectively? I can't teach everybody one-on-one, like I don't have that much time in a day, and I've got companies to run. And so that's when I came with the idea in November of 2013 to form and start our own school. And to do it online so that we can reach the masses, as many people as possible. And with our school, it was just more than just lectures, because I couldn't learn and read no PowerPoints and all of that. I can't do that. So I want to make our lessons interactive, so we teach all lessons in a really interactive, engaging way. We do weekly calls with our students. It started off bi-weekly to save my time, but now we've doubled down and we do calls with our students every single week on Wednesdays. They can ask questions and strategy. But I really dumped out of my brain, and we've done five or six website redos or remakes and lesson remakes, curriculum remakes. So we're constantly updating and upgrading our school because we want to be as effective as possible. Like, that's the whole goal. Like, how can we reach as many people as possible? And we've done a really good job of that. So we started, the idea formulated in my head in November of 2013. January 8th of 2014, we started our first launch of our school. We launched it in 2-3 months. And then since then, we have had a lot of success. Our students have had a lot of success. We've gotten donations and participation from superstars like Young Jeezy and other clients that I've had. And so I've just been, again, what I've learned through my journey, I give you like my whole journey just to say this. I've been really successful in the industry, and it's opened up my mind regarding business and there's so many other things from what I've learned. But I did all that coming from exactly where I just told you I come from. And I know that if I can come from where I come from, how lost I was, to be who I am now today, I know that we all, with the right training and information, can do the same thing. All I have is an advantage over the everyday person. I just know more. I understand LTVs, I understand DTIs, I understand how to find an ROI, a purchase ratio, I understand how to negotiate deals, evaluate deals, how to market myself, brand my business, create the proper LLC infrastructure, the right corporate veil. I just know more. Never stepped a foot into college. But through my 12 years of experience as a mortgage professional, real estate expert, developer, I've been able to extract, I've paid some of the most expensive attorneys, accountants, etc., and I dump all that back into you. Because we need a jump start, we need a head start. And who better to translate? That's all it is. One of my mentors, a good friend, said, Jay, you're a translator. You translate from the streets to the suites. The financial game, I'm telling you, there's no hocus pocus around real estate. When y'all leave here, you know where you're going?
Real estate.
You're going on a piece of real estate. When you wake up tomorrow, you're waking up in some real estate, and you're going to another piece of real estate that somebody gonna own. When we get that through our thick skulls, somebody gotta own it. Why can't it be you? Oh, that's a commercial building. I'll leave that to Massa. We can own stadiums too. There is nothing we cannot do. We have the ingenuity, we have the intellectual talent, the human capital. You say, oh, I ain't got no money. You don't need money. You need strategy on how to get money.
Right. Preach.
I don't got no credit. You don't need credit. You need strategy on how to rebuild and repair your credit.
Facts.
And then leverage your credit and flip your credit into cash, flip that cash into real estate, pay your credit back off. Now you got even better credit.
Facts.
Go find a credit partner. Y'all go half on something and then go execute.
Facts.
Right, Brett? So we do want to encourage you. Our staff will be out there. We're going to be doing this every Thursday and Saturday. This is a lecture. This ain't a class. Class, you're going to leave different. Like I rarely do lectures where you just leave motivated and inspired. I like to leave you with practical action steps. So I'm going to give you some. Your commitment to you should be to make sure somehow, some way, you attend our school. Or you get the financial information from somewhere. That's how real I am. I tell everybody, you don't gotta join my school. You don't gotta take my coaching, you don't gotta be part of my program. But you gotta learn it. I don't care where you learn it from. Well, when you learn it, I'm happy. But if you wanna learn it from someone that loves you and that's authentic, and that's gonna pour into you, and that has done this and does this at the highest levels, but it still come down to everyone's level, to make sure that we translate it and we give you understanding, we're going to teach it right here, starting from square one, no matter where you start. And you can sign up any week. You don't got to wait till the cycle is back. We're going to do modular learning, meaning if you start in week 7, you're going to start from week 7, but you're going to go all the way back around to week 6 where you finish. Make sure you get all 26 lessons. I'm telling you, you leave with this information, then you just go hustle. I can't do that part for you. But I can certainly make sure you are crystal clear on how to get money, how to build wealth, how to increase your family net worth, how to create a monthly budget, how to consolidate your credit. All the things that you're dead. We will pour into you as a staff. So we're going to be teaching classes again every Thursday evening, every Saturday afternoon. There's an opportunity to come in, and then when you join, we're going to give you access to our online lessons as well, so you can still learn and study at home. And this is an opportunity you guys have here first in Atlanta, is to come out, and then our courses, I'm going to tell you, what's the cost? The cost is, the 6-month course is $4.99 for 6 months up front. If you want to pay monthly, it's $99 a month for 6 months. You save $100 by paying up front. Or you pay $99 a month. Don't tell me you can't afford $99 a month. You're just lazy.
Ain't no money.
I'm going to tell you why. And I come from poverty. I come from not having. But when we needed to have something, my mom went and got a paper route. My mom went and babysat. She did whatever she had to do to come up with the money. If this means that much to you, because if you don't learn today, you force your kids to learn it.
Mm-hmm. Facts.
Your kids can't come to you and say, Mommy, what's equity? What's appreciation? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to push them out there in the world as ignorant financially as you are. So everyone has, I don't care if you got to get an Uber job, a part-time job at Burger King, $99 a month. It's like $3 a day. So this is your opportunity to learn at the highest level, at the most affordable cost, right here in person, in Atlanta. And so I want to thank you all for coming out. We got another class in here. I appreciate y'all for showing so much love. Give a round of applause to yourself, please. And Whitney has some takeaways for you. Please, everyone grab a sheet. And if the same website you use to register, jmorrisonacademy.com/ATL, you can register for. The class is going to pack out. Just let y'all know. You already know it's going to pack out. First come, first serve on the classes. So whoever takes action, again, our new website will be launching next week. You can register then or use the same link you use to register here. There's a button to register for the in-person classes, whether you pay the full or pay monthly.
Thank you.
Everybody up front with a picture with you.
Can I get everybody up front, please, here? We'll get some pictures together before you leave out. Before you leave out, don't you leave. We want pictures up there.
That's for y'all.
And we'll get some videos.
We change the lens right now. Get tight. Get tight.
I don't want to take your camera with me. I know you value your prizes, your jewels.
I definitely do.
These your babies. You got some phones around here, I'm sure. What else you got? Cameras. You having cameras everywhere.
What you got right there?
See what you want. We gotta be quick. We gotta get another class in here. What you need, T?
Let me get like Black Love, JMA, and my photographers. They got the rest, right? You not get up. I'm recording. Get up on yours. All right, I can get up the way though.
Alright, this is what we gonna do. This is what we gonna do. This is what we gonna do. On three, right? On three, we gonna say the solution, the solution. The solution. And then on three, we're gonna say JMA. Alright? So on three, the solution. On three again, JMA. Alright, we're gonna do it with some energy. We're gonna show the world that we can create our own schools and teach everything we never been taught. Alright. The solution on three. 1, 2, 3. The solution! No. No, you're not playing it like that. No. We're gonna do this the JMA way. The solution with some energy. We here in the AT. It's ATL. We got represented. Solution on three. 1, 2, 3. The solution! JMA on three. 1, 2, 3. JMA! Alright, thank y'all. Appreciate it. Appreciate y'all. Shout out to the Falcons, man. Shout out to the Falcons. Rise up! Rise up! Don't hate.